Currently, actually, right now, I'm standing in the rubble of the buildings of Hari Center, the mall that was bombed. Um, I was about 5 to 10 minutes away. I was just actually inside the mall. There's this coffee shop that I was sitting in, and we were sitting a group of friends, and one of them decided that we change our location because he was craving a different kind of coffee or food, and he kept nagging. Um, Fortunately for us, his nagging actually saved us because as soon as we left the building, as soon as we got into the car and we were about to pull away, the bomb went off, and it was it was it's weird because it wasn't as loud as you would expect it. However, the fire is what was very devastating. As soon as we heard it and saw the light, we came out of the car and ran back because we actually have relatives and friends inside. I actually lost a family friend with his two kids. Um, Unfortunately, a son a son and a daughter whose bodies are still not yet found. There's a candlelight vigil right now going on near the building, and bodies are still being taken out. Piles of ashes are being escorted out of the building, and in hopes of trying to figure out who the bodies belong to or who these ashes belong to. So what ended up happening was as soon as the bomb went off and the Iraqi police, army, and firefighters came through, many of the families had relatives and friends inside, so they weren't going to clear the area, definitely. They started going to buildings all around it. They couldn't go inside because the fire was so strong. They would stand in the buildings really close to it and try to throw ladders and ropes in hopes of trying to reach out to people within. Um, I actually went up to one of the buildings in hopes of trying to help as much people out as possible. When we would call them in, see how many people are alive. And we could hear them screaming back to us. Those who were trapped, they were telling us that there were people trapped within the fridges, hoping to get away from the heat that was devastating just the entire building. Fortunately, we were able to save a few people coming out. They were trying to come out of every single opening within the building. Unfortunately, however, there were people that were still trapped and locked doors on top of the building that we weren't able to break. Neither were the firefighters due to lack of equipment.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, many of those that were trapped within the building passed away, and their bodies were cleared after the fire was put down about 6 to 7 hours later. And within these 6 to 7 hours, we were just looking for people to try to save as much people as possible. Some of the youth were so they were moved so much that they actually just took oxygen masks from the firefighters with no clothes on, literally just a tank top, wore the mask, and tried to go inside to just save people. They were able to save a couple, but the majority of the people were trapped inside, and if the fire didn't get to them, then the smoke inhalation did.